Okay, I have to do this kind of fast because I literally have like an online quiz due in like an hour. Hi, welcome back. I know it's been another little break again, but it wasn't as long as last time, so you know what? I am taking the credit and running with it. I know this is another like recap video, but I wasn't quite finished with reflecting on 2021, honestly. I realized that pushing into this year, regaining my creativity, finding my spark again, and passion for writing again, I actually learned a lot of writing lessons last year, and I wanted to just share 10 of those with you guys. These are just sort of all over the place. They're not specifically craft related or industry related, although a lot of them do have to do with like soul searching. I have spent a lot of the pandemic on submission, which has been frustrating, not because of anyone else, but just because it was being on submission during a pandemic. That has really kind of sunk its claws into me and made it really difficult to give a rat's ass about writing, honestly. For a lot of last year, I focused less on writing. I ended up revising a lot and, learning from that, but I focused less on writing and pushing toward a goal, which for me is to get traditionally published at a young age, I guess, and focused a lot more on myself, like my personal life and the things that I want to do outside of writing, my career goals, school, that sort of thing. And it was really helpful to sort of like rearrange myself, or I don't know, just sort of knock some sense back into me, because I'm more than just writing, I'm more than just books even. Honestly, that's like a very small sliver of my life. I've always maintained that, but last year it sort of became true, and I don't think that's a negative thing, but that experience has helped me pick up that passion again, and that was a long ramble about nothing. But today's video is just going to be 10 lessons I learned about writing in 2021. So lesson number 1 was not to rush anything. This was definitely a big one for me. I've always been one of those people who was like, if I don't get a book published before I'm 21, 22, then I'm a complete failure. I'm 24 now, obviously I don't have a book published, and that's totally fine. I think I was being just ridiculous, frankly. The thought of having a book published and having to like navigate that while still in college and going for my bio degree and like that sort of thing. Honestly, I don't know why I thought that was the ideal. Also, just considering the type of stuff that I was writing and the caliber of my writing back at that age, I'm like really thankful that I didn't get a book deal like right out of high school or whatever the hell, because that would have been embarrassing and probably would have been worse for my career. For me, I think being forced to take the time to develop my craft and always strive to be better, even though it wasn't necessarily fair sometimes, every time. Like, I've had delays because of things outside of my control. Just the idea of taking it slow and not focusing too much on getting published by so-and-so date or before so-and-so age, that has been really, really healthy for me. And I know that's easier said than done, and at some point, all of you little writers that are like having the same issue, it's just gonna have to click into your head. But also, like, enjoy your youth and live your life. Don't rush it. You're gonna get better at writing over time if you keep practicing. You're going to get to a point where you can be published, and sometimes that's really young and that's great, but other times that's when you're a little bit older, and that's awesome too. Either way, you're getting published and you're working towards something, and just take it slow, do the best you can, learn, and it'll happen. Lesson number 2 is more of a realization, and it's that writing a book is a commitment, so I have to pick an idea that has room to grow. I think it's no secret that I'm just a person with a lot of ideas. I've always just had a plethora of ideas. I'm inspired by pretty much everything in my life. I'm an active person, I go out on hikes, I go out into nature, I have various interests, like my mind is very active all the time, which is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that I will pretty much never run out of ideas. I'm very confident in that fact, and because each idea basically appeals to me equally, I'm also never going to run out of books to write. Ideas and books are different things. The curse part is that there's too many ideas, and I don't think I have enough time in my life, like my lifespan, to write everything that I want to, and that honestly really stresses me out. And that realization that I have to pick and choose between my favorites has kind of actually been a problem for me before. Like, it has literally paralyzed me with fear that I'm going to pick a project, it's going to be the wrong one, it's not going to get picked up, or I'm going to fall out of love with it and waste my time. That's happened so many times before. And then there's also been this issue where I have an idea, a spark of something, and I really fall in love with it and I want to write the book, but then when I start, I hit 30,000, 50,000 words and I can't go any further because Even with an outline, I just didn't come up with an idea that can carry itself forward on its own or forward enough to create a whole book, or at least create a whole book that is original and interesting and not a rehash of the same plot line I've written like twice before. That has sort of helped in terms of me selecting my ideas for future projects. Like, I have to be able to pick an idea with room for expansion. So that typically means something that's a little bit more vague and less specific. So, like a horror western or so-and-so mushroom apocalypse that isn't a real one. So things that are a little bit broader, things that allow for some world building. If you're focusing on a specific plot point, that's not helpful, like, oh, two sisters trying to form a gang and rob the museum. Like, that can be something, but for me, I write a lot of fantasy, that's gonna need to have something else that is the hook, if that makes sense. Lesson number 3 is that copy editing is really fun and I really like it. That's it. I think it's honestly my favorite stage of writing. It's really boring, but there's something so satisfying about the fact that I have a finished manuscript. It's ready to go home. It only takes me really like a couple days of like sitting down and working and focusing to get the copy edits out the door, and it's basically mindless labor at this point. I was the copy editor for money for some amount of time. I don't really know how long, but yeah, I just really enjoy copy editing, so that's what I work toward. Lesson number 4 is craft related, and it's that characters should get the rug pulled out from under them. I don't know when this realization hit me. I think sometime while I was revising Tiger, I was realizing that I wasn't hurting them enough. I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely one of those like masochistic writers that's like, I'm going to just carve these characters into pieces and break them, but I feel like I don't throw their plans off. Like, I hurt them emotionally, but if they have a very linear plot line, like they have to get from point A to point B to point C, I don't impede them. And yeah, I just realized I wasn't doing that. I was letting their plans go along accordingly. That can't happen. Come on, they gotta have some more trouble than that. You can probably tell that I spent a lot of time revising novels and worrying about tension, because number 5, hold on while I read my notes, build tension by tricking the reader. That sounds bad. I feel like as a reader, sometimes it's very blatant when a plot twist is coming, and it's really irritating. I have gotten a little bit better at spotting the ways in which an author can sort of catch you off guard with a plot twist or something like that, a red herring, similar things, just twisty bits in the book. I'm gonna start implementing those, I guess. I think the way to do it for me, or what I've found has been working, is to just put the reader in the character's shoes. Like, they're not expecting this to happen. They have no reason to believe this is going to happen because they're fully immersed in the character's journey and what they're worrying about that is not related to the thing that is going to happen that no one knows about. That's a lot of words. Essentially, you want to just immerse the reader enough that they're just completely taken off guard, I guess, by the plot twist. Lesson number 6, outlines are a suggestion. This might be a little bit controversial, a little bit spicy, but as a hardcore plotter, I have a tendency of like creating a really detailed outline, sticking to it, realizing it doesn't work, and then scrapping everything, re-outlining, and trying to figure it out from the outline stage, like figure out my problem from the outline stage. I've done this like 6 or 7 times with mods, and I was like, this is not sustainable. If I keep doing this, this book will literally never exist because I can't figure out how to outline a mystery the first time. So my solution has been to just accept the fact that new stuff comes up. Sometimes when you're drafting, you see problems you didn't really notice in the outline stage, and don't be afraid to let new ideas come in and sort of enrichen everything. I had this issue where, at first Moths was so tightly plotted that there was like no flavor to it. It was just a really well plotted mystery with a lot of little issues that I noticed later, but yeah, there was no like sauce, So yeah, that lesson is to not treat the outline like a Bible and to handle it more like a series of suggestions, a loose guide for what you want to get done. I'm just gonna do this real quick. Number 7 also has to do with my ideas problem, and it's that ideas are cheap. I tend to get really carried away when a new idea hits. It's like meeting someone new for the first time. You're like, no one has ever come up with this. This is brand new. This is just me. It's like so special. It's really not. The ideas are cheap, but it's good to have a file, a folder, a notebook, just scribble in a couple sentences just describing each idea. Just keep them all written down and tucked away. and refer to that regularly so you can potentially take out bits and pieces and, just glue them into what you're working on currently if it fits. Number 8, organize your shit. I got really into bullet journaling this year. Actually, I can show you guys, hold on. And not just like writer bullet journaling, but like bullet journaling. Like I put my schedule, this is just copied from like Archer and Olive's Instagram. Thanks guys. Like all of my layouts are stolen from Pinterest, so don't judge, but yeah. Bullet journaling, weekly scheduling. It has been so helpful. I give myself weekly writing tasks. I keep tabs on due dates, everything. Just organize your shit, schedule your life. It's really nice. Organize your ideas, organize your desktop. Please, oh my god, my biggest pet peeve is seeing a messy desktop with like 1,000 little icons. It drives me bonkers. I don't know how people find anything like that, and I don't know why they keep those things. If they can't find the things they need anyway, why don't you just throw it away? You don't need 1,000 gifts from the office. Like, number 9, you can't control publishing, so just write what you want, and also listen to your agent. This is for me. This is this is directed at me. I have like a really teeny confession to make, and it's that I actually wrote As the Tiger Calls the Dawn as like a sellout book. I was seeing that a bunch of young adult Asian fantasies were getting picked up, and I was like, you know what? I could probably do that. And I did, but that was also like 3-4 years ago. Not that these young adult Asian world fantasies are not coming out still, but it's definitely not as hype as it was when I started writing this book. So, but I really fell in love with the story, so it worked out. But for future reference, I just want to write whatever weird shit I want to write, and I'm just going to run it by my agent to make sure that it's groovy and not a complete like misstep. So I'm sort of aligned with the market, I guess, but because it takes me apparently 1,000,000 years to write a book, yeah, I'm not going to try too hard to keep up with the market. I'm just a slow writer, like, God. And publishing takes 1,000 years anyway, and it's not even a guarantee that you'll get published, so whatever, just write what you want, have fun with it. Lesson number 10 is that writing should be enjoyable. Yeah, I've had the most grueling time for the past couple of years in regards to writing. Like, it's been really stressful, obviously, juggling work and school and everything I do, and writing, but again, like, I'm rediscovering my passion, and it's been really nice. Like, I actually write because I want to and not because I feel any sense of obligation. This was a really big awakening year for me, you guys. Because this is an industry where you're not very likely to make a living wage, even if you work your butt off, even if you do everything right, even if you have a master's degree in creative lit or a PhD, you're probably just not going to make enough to support yourself. It kind of has to be a labor of love. It shouldn't be that way. Like, we should, make a living wage, and we should have more job security than we actually do. The reality is this is the way the industry works. So you should just really be writing because you love to, and because you love to tell stories, and you love the work, every single silly step of it, even copy editing. And because you're passionate about your characters and your world, like, there's just no other alternative. Otherwise you're gonna burn out, and that's terrible because we need more creative, talented voices out in the world. Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at, is I'm leaning in real close, but it's because I want to drive this point home, is that this is the realization that I've had, and this is the realization that I want everyone to have, no matter what stage you're at, even if you have a bestseller out or whatever the heck. There's no job security here, so you just gotta keep doing what you want to do. And maybe that's a really naive viewpoint. I obviously haven't been through the gamut of actually putting out a book, so it could be different on the other side, but for now, this is definitely what I aim to be doing. Alright, those are my 10 lessons about writing that I learned in 2021. Thank you so much for watching this video. I make them occasionally. Thank you again also for 1,000 subscribers. That's literally nuts. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any of your own writing lessons that you learned last year, then go ahead and drop those in the comments below. I will see you guys in a little bit. Peace.